Let's talk about alt season, the period in crypto that we're all waiting for, where altcoins do a 2x overnight and a week later another 3x and then go down very hard, but then make another 5x and your portfolio absolutely blows up. We haven't seen alt season yet though. When can we expect it? What does it take for us to finally get that long awaited alt season? Let's dive into that. Please like the video if you already like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn the bell notification on, and I'm gonna do a giveaway somewhere in the video. I'm gonna ask a question, get the answer right, leave a comment. I'm gonna pick one winner that wins $100 worth of USDT. So keep on watching and let's dive right into it. Now, Bitcoin still flirting with the all-time high, not really breaking it yet. If we look where we are right now, we're sitting around 70k, right? And we have been around this level for 4 weeks now. We started here at the beginning of March, it's now the end of March, and we can't seem to break it. We break a little above it, we go down again, but it's not a consistent break for Bitcoin yet. This is important because when we want an alt season, we need Bitcoin to make new highs. That's at least what history has showed us. If we look at the last cycle for Bitcoin, you can see that we had the all-time high in December 2017, and we approached it in November 2020, but it took us a couple of weeks as well to break above it. And once we, really break above, we fly. Right? Because there is no, everybody is in profit then, and then it's price discovery. If we look at the cycle before that, we had the high at the end of 2013. We tried to break above it in January 2017, but the real breakout happened in April 2017. So that's a couple of months later. So this took a while before we really did it. And even before we did it, we had a correction of in total 23%. And if you take it really from the breakout where, went above and then had the correction, we even had a correction of 33%. So it could be that Bitcoin takes a good hit before we finally, make that new high. We have so far seen a correction of 17%. Now, I don't, necessarily think that we get the same type of correction of like 30%, because back then in 2015, there was a lot less liquidity. Bitcoin's market cap was way lower, and then of course the price is way more volatile. Now it is harder to dump like that, but it's also harder to pump like that, and that might also be a reason why we have some trouble breaking this right here. If we do, well, we're gonna take a look at the altcoin market, but overall, we could break it now and it could be a couple of months. It's anywhere in between. That's something that I don't know. All I do know is the halving is coming up. It will take miners, they will get rewarded less, of course, half. So it will cost twice as much to mine Bitcoin. And that's obviously very bullish for the Bitcoin price. So the narrative is at least good. That's a good thing. But it's like people say yeah, we went make a new all-time high before the halving. We wicked above it, but we didn't really break above it like we did right here. And that's usually when you look at the halvings, we had the halving in the last cycle right here, and we really made a new all-time high, like a consistent breaking all-time high 34 weeks after the halving, right? So that was like more than half a year. If we look at the cycle before that, we had the halving right here, and the real consistent break was 47 weeks. So although we wicked above it, it would be on track if we, somewhere make a new all-time high at the end of the year and really break above it. What could happen in the meantime? Well, we could break above it before. We wicked above it earlier, so we can, of course, break earlier as well. But it could also be like, hey, this was some kind of a local top, maybe. We go down, we test some, support levels at 50K, something like that, maybe mid-50s somewhere, right? And just do very boring shit in the meantime. Very boring shit. Like here, we had the halving, and, Bitcoin did not do much. Yeah, it went down, it went up, but overall, it kind of went sideways from April 2020 till September 2020. If we look over here, kind of the same happened, right? We went all the way up, we went all the way down, and we slowly were grinding up, but it was a very boring time. So it could be boring. I mean, there's a lot of money coming in from like BlackRock, but there's a lot of money going out from the retail that might feel like, okay, you know what, we're sitting at an all-time high. Let's maybe take some profits. And also there's outflows from the ETFs, of course. So it could be that like everybody expects like God candles up or disasters all the way down, but it could also, of course, be somewhere in the middle, and nothing much is happening over the couple coming months. That's definitely a possibility. It's not most exciting, but the possibility is there, and I would prefer it, to be honest, because that would make the cycle just as the same as over here and over here, right? And the more the cycle is the same, the bullisher it is, the more bullish it is. Because after we broke all-time highs, Bitcoin went on a rampage here as well. So if we do the same, hey, I'd rather have us going sideways for a couple of months and then go up like crazy than now going up to like maybe 100K and everybody thinks the top is in, and that makes it actually that the top is in and then go down again and the whole cycle being broken, right? So boring times could be good times, and therefore it's good to prepare in these boring times, because if it goes sideways, that's accumulation, and that's where you want to prepare for an alt season. Because again, we haven't seen an alt season yet. What is an alt season? For the people that are new to the channel, an alt season is not where altcoins go up on the dollar pair, like we have seen with a lot of altcoins. Some altcoins are up like 2x, maybe 3x. There are a lot of laggers, especially in the top 50. If you look closer to the top 100 or down there, you can see coins like Altura made a 14x, even AVAX is ripping. Solana was one of the outperformers in the top 10 right now. We have Beam, a new project, doing fantastic. ChainGPT is ripping it. Like, a lot of good coins are ripping it right now. But that's not an alt season. That's just altcoins, doing good. But an alt season is where the overall altcoin market, so not just a few there and a few there, but the overall average altcoin market is consistently outperforming Bitcoin. Okay. Now, again, there is a chart for the overall altcoin market. You could look at the total 3. The total 3 is everything except Bitcoin and Ethereum. But for the rest, it's everything in the market. And if you look at it like that, then from the bottom, it's up 160%. So that's like 2.5x. It's not that fantastic. I mean, if you look at Bitcoin and you take it from the bottom, Bitcoin is up 350%. But that's, of course, because the total 3 includes coins like USDT and USDC. So the stables, they don't go up, so they compensate for that. Then there's another chart, that's others. Others is everything in the top 125, excluding the top 10. So no USDC, no USDT, but also not, BNB, Ethereum, Cardano, XRP. And that's a way more relevant chart if you ask me. Because most people, I think, at least on this channel, are not interested in investing in XRP and Cardano, right? So if these coins are not relevant for you, then why would you take a chart that where these coins are included, right? Because these coins have such a high market cap that they actually decide for a big part how that chart is looking like, right? So if we take these away, then this is the others chart. This is actually more altcoins, but not even things outside of the top 125, right? These could go way more crazy. But that's just not like what TradingView tracks, because these are so low cap, it doesn't even add up. Can you imagine if the money flows into these? But this one is up 380%. So this is more similar to what Bitcoin did, right? So Bitcoin 340, altcoins 380. So it's not a big difference. AKA, altcoins haven't been outperforming Bitcoin. Yeah, with a couple percent, but not really outperforming, right? So there's not an alt season yet. Another chart that you can look at is the Bitcoin dominance. However, there's a problem, and I spoke about this before, with the Bitcoin dominance, because this chart is showing how much percent Bitcoin is dominating the crypto space. And if you compare Bitcoin to everybody else, everything else in the market, then 53%, 54% of the total crypto market capitalization is sitting in Bitcoin. But again, then you are comparing Bitcoin also with stables, right? Now, if you look at this, then you could say, hey, the Bitcoin dominance is still going up. Best case, you could say like it's going sideways from October last year, so it's not doing much. And that's interesting because Bitcoin has been up 2x from this point and the dominance didn't. But still, this is not a downtrend, right? So again, if you want to know what is an alt season is where altcoins outperform, so the Bitcoin dominance should go down. This was an alt season. You could make the case that these were 1 and 2, but yeah, I look at it like, okay, this was just one alt season with a little pause in between. So that was one first big alt season. Then we had our second big alt season in 2021, where the dominance went down very hard as well. So we are waiting on our third alt season. Now, it's clearly not an alt season according to the Bitcoin dominance. But again, there's another chart that shows a little more relevance to this. And that's if we look at this chart. This chart is the Bitcoin dominance, but we're taking away USDT and USDC because I don't care how Bitcoin is performing against USDC and USDT. That says nothing about altcoins. That says something about how Bitcoin is doing. And again, we take away Ethereum, Cardano, and XRP. Why do we take these away? Very simple. Because Ethereum, for example, look at this market cap, right? It's a third of what Bitcoin's market cap is. So if Ethereum performs badly, then the normal Bitcoin dominance is going up pretty hard, right? And wouldn't you know, Ethereum against its Bitcoin pair, it is performing very bad, right? But again, if you have no interest in investing in Ethereum, then that Bitcoin dominance chart is not relevant to you. So therefore, you can take some coins away. And therefore, I like to look at this chart. So some underperformers, which add up a lot to the Bitcoin dominance that I'm not planning on investing in are Ethereum, Cardano, and XRP. They underperform really hard, but they make up for a lot of market cap. So we take these away, and then this is the Bitcoin dominance chart. Now, this chart is showing something different than the normal Bitcoin dominance. We also went into a Bitcoin season from, let's say, beginning of 2022 until mid 2023. That was the time to definitely not be in altcoins. And again, exceptions were there, but the overall altcoin market was crashing against Bitcoin. But from that point, altcoins have been outperforming Bitcoin. And it's not looking like this. So it's like, is this an alt season? Yeah, well, I don't, technically altcoins are outperforming Bitcoin for the last more than half a year. That's true. But not by a lot, right? That's saying like, this is an alt season, for example. Yeah, technically that's the case. But if I'm talking about an alt season, I mean this kind of alt season, right? And that's not what we're seeing yet. So what I like to see is this chart going down pretty hard, right? That would be an alt season. And all the way down to the bottom, where I think it could go eventually, that's going to rotate all the money that's sitting from Bitcoin into altcoins. Now, I got some comments on the channel, people saying like, yeah, well, it's BlackRock buying and they're not going to put their Bitcoin into altcoins. And that's true. So will it be harder to get an alt season right now? It is a fact that BlackRock is not gonna, use their money that's sitting in Bitcoin to buy Pepe or whatever the fuck. So that's definitely true. But then again, it's not only BlackRock that's been doing this. Okay, here is where the ETFs came, right? So you could say like, hey, a big part of this pump right here has to do with BlackRock, but from this until this is, maybe like BlackRock or whatever was secretly buying some and people speculating about that. And that could definitely be the case. But this is mostly just retail in crypto that was already here that been buying, right? And you can verify that by looking at the USDT dominance. This is showing how much USDT is dominating the crypto space. And this has been in a downtrend from November 2022. So this is all the USDT that people had in their wallets now going into altcoins and into Bitcoin, right? Was BlackRock already, here buying USDT or for some reason, and now deploy? I like, that's a little too conspiracy for me, right? So yeah, in my opinion, we could definitely get an alt season. And the question is, of course, when do we get it? Now, if we look at last alt season, this is where it absolutely went completely crazy, right? What happened to Bitcoin then? Well, let's overlay Bitcoin on this chart right here, and we can get a little bit of a picture. And again, it's not like, hey, this happened before, so it has to happen right now. But, this is all we have. What happens right here is quite interesting. If you look, Bitcoin dominance was just going sideways while Bitcoin was going up here, right? So Bitcoin went up from the bottom until here, and the Bitcoin dominance didn't really do much. We kind of see the same thing right now. Bitcoin is going up pretty hard, the orange line, and the Bitcoin dominance is, going down a little bit, but it could do something like this, and it could end up just sideways, kind of. So that's also what we saw here. Now, really, when Bitcoin went from, the bottom of the last cycle, which was like 3K, until 40K, that's where the dominance started to go down, right? So Bitcoin first needed to hit $40,000. That's double of what the previous top was. That was $20,000. Again, it's super speculative, but if we repeat that, it could mean like, hey, Bitcoin first needs to be double of the previous all-time high before altcoins really take their run. And that could, say that Bitcoin first needs to hit like 140K, or at least well over 100K, before we really see a big alt season. It's a possibility. Again, I'm not saying that will happen, but hey, that's what happened last cycle. It could happen right now. But at least what we need to see is Bitcoin first ripping surpass the old all-time high. And then we really see the money flow from Bitcoin into altcoins. And this was an interesting time, because here Bitcoin was still going up and the dominance was already going down. So this was where altcoins really, here a lot of money came into altcoins. A lot of money here as well. That's where a lot of money came into altcoins. Now, if we look at the other chart again, so the top 125, excluding the top 10, you can see that there is a big difference between altcoins and Bitcoin right now. Because if we first go to Bitcoin, like I spoke about, it is sitting at all-time highs. Right? It's trying to break, it gets a little rejected, goes a little above it, it's flirting right around there. If we look at the altcoin market overall, you can see that the altcoin market is not sitting at all-time highs, right? In fact, it still has a long way to go up, 47%. It doesn't sound like much, but it is. 47% move, that could mean that your actual altcoins go up like 2-3x, right? Especially if they are good quality, lower cap altcoins, right? Because this is just the average, right? This also includes some higher cap coins that just did a 2x, and they make up for a lot of market cap, of course. So the low caps, they go up really hard. So this is yet about to happen. What's interesting, if we look at this green and red line, right? What's that? That's the bull market support band. And the bull market support band offers support in the bull market. If we look at last cycle, you can see that once we really broke above the bull market support band right here in let's say March 2020, right, where we really didn't go below it anymore, we started to go up, and every time we came to the bull market support band, bounce up. It's dragging it up. Now, it is interesting because we are now doing the same thing in the same period. If you look at the 4-year cycle, it's now March 2024. Right? So this is bullish. And as long as the altcoin market, this is a forecast. So if the price stays where it is right now, right, then the bull market support band moves like this. So it could be that the altcoin market goes down with 25%. That would still be bullish. right? So even if you one day wake up and your altcoins are down 30, 40, 50%, and this is sitting here, look at this chart and be like, okay, bullish, still bullish, right? If it happens today, we would even make a perfect retest right here on the 0.382 and this big support right here and this support right here and this resistance right here. If that would have happened today, well, it's a big ass daily candle, but it would make sense. Okay, it doesn't have to, right? We could just go do something like this and eventually touch the bull market support band and then go up, but it could happen. But again, if you look, when did Bitcoin break its all-time high? 14 December 2020. If we go to the altcoin market, 14 December 2020, that's here, right? This is where we were sitting in the golden pocket, basically, on the Fibonacci retracement. And this is where we got some, some trouble. We were like far still from the all-time high, around 70, 60%, depending on where you take it from. You could also take it as 50%. It's interesting because that is kind of where we are sitting right now in the altcoin market as well. Right? And that's where Bitcoin broke the all-time high. Now, again, when did altcoins break the all-time high? That was more in the real move happened the first week of February 2021. If we go back to Bitcoin, first week February 2021, where was Bitcoin sitting? Bitcoin was sitting at 40K, right? 40K. That's what we spoke about before, right? So after Bitcoin broke its all-time high, it went on a run. Altcoins started to go up to their all-time high. And once Bitcoin was sitting here, finally, that's where altcoins finally broke out and made a new all-time high. So overall, when Altseason, I think we need to see Bitcoin rip first, really rip first. And it's understandable, right? Because if you look at the narratives and the thought process of people behind it, we just showed, right? Bitcoin from the bottom till the top, up 360, 70%. If you look at altcoins, from the bottom to the top, 405, right? So the same, basically. So why would people now sell their Bitcoin and put it into altcoins if the returns are the same and Bitcoin is obviously lower risk? The whales, the smart money, the big money, right? They decide. And they feel like, yeah, I can buy altcoins, but, if I can take less risk and get the same returns on Bitcoin, why the fuck would I buy altcoins? So therefore, it makes sense. I think that's how they think, at least, right? Bitcoin is giving the same returns. So why, getting more risk? So as long as Bitcoin is ripping, these people feel like, okay, let's stay in Bitcoin, right? And at a certain point, Bitcoin will be far above the all-time high. We'll be sitting well over 100K probably. And then it's price discovery. And then it's where it gets scary. And people might feel like, okay, you know what? Bitcoin had a big run. We made a lot of money with Bitcoin. Altcoins are lagging against Bitcoin. Let's put that money into altcoins. And that's where the altcoin season comes from. And that's all of a sudden where all the retail gets in and buy these stupid meme coins and these new gaming coins and these new layer ones and gets into pre-sales and the whole market goes absolutely crazy. Right? And we do not even at that point need a lot of new inflow of money because, Bitcoin has a $1.3 trillion market cap. If you even look somewhere close outside of the top 100, so you look, for example, at you name something, man. You look at a Pixels, for example, sitting at a $500 million market cap. That's such an insane big difference that you just need a fraction of that Bitcoin money and put it into this one, and this goes absolutely crazy. And this is even not considered a low cap. Can you imagine what these low caps will do? Right? So therefore, Bitcoin is just the leader. That's just how it is, and therefore valuations in an altcoin season bull market get out of hand. Like Superverse, for example, it went from 9 cents to 130. People be like, oh, $2 max. This thing could rip to like $15 for all I know, if just a little bit of money goes into Superverse, for example. And again, then I'm not even talking about the stuff that's well outside of the top 100, right? And that's, of course, where you take a lot of risk. But for example, if you look at Cetify, the blue chip launchpad, it just has a $280 million market cap. Could it 10x from this point? For a launchpad, that's like, but I don't know, man. I would say my mind says, okay, that's a lot for, for C5 for a launchpad. On the other hand, again, in a bull market, nothing is realistic. And the best way to prove that to yourself is by looking at one specific coin, and that's this son of a bitch, Dogecoin. Man, I remember 2016, 15 somewhere, I had a small community and I had a website, whatever. I was giving away millions of Dogecoins. And the price was so super low. It was, I don't know where it was somewhere here. Of course, I never thought that Dogecoin would get to almost $1. Like, what the actual hell? So even the most useless shit out there could go crazy if it just has the right hype or the right person behind it chilling it or whatever. Can you imagine the actual products and the actual good utilities out there that we have these days in crypto? So yeah, that's interesting. Now, what I also thought was interesting, I've showed you this before, is another thing, by the way, that tells us something about an alt season. Is if you look at the Bitcoin dominance, then you see that we have the halving, right? Let me put it on a monthly chart to make it a little more clear. And now it's gone. Let me check. Yeah, here it is. We had the halving, and from the halving, it took like 8 months before we went into alt season. We had this halving, and it took about 8 months before we went into alt season. It could be, that's just 2, right? But it's 2 out of 2. So it could be that if we do slightly the same, we take the halving, 8 months later, alt season, right? December 2024. Could happen, end of the year, right? And it could make sense that what we have discussed before, that Bitcoin just goes sideways, maybe a little down for a couple of months, just a little boring, and that at the end of the year actually rips, right? Maybe September, October, somewhere like that. And then around December, maybe, right? Altcoins finally catch up and take care of that alt season for us. Again, these are all speculations. I don't have the answer. Nobody has the answer. We'll see. It's like they said, Wolf of Wall Street, like nobody knows if a chart goes up, down, or in circles or whatever. Like nobody knows that. But we can take a look at these charts and combine it with some narratives, right? And come to some logical conclusions which might happen. So that's my theory on alt season. Now, like I said, in the meantime, when everything is going sideways, might be a good time to just prepare, right? Look what's hot. Look not at what's hype, because you can of course now be like, oh yeah, well, Solana meme coins are hype, so let's accumulate now. But certain specific pieces of meme coins are not necessarily the ones that are most sustainable. So you can scalp up on some Solana meme coins right now, but hey, who says they will still be hot in half a year from now? So look what's there to stay. Gaming will stay there, AI will stay there, layer ones will stay there, launchpad narrative will stay there. That's the things that I am going to load up on. So accumulate in that boring period. If we get some good dips, just accumulate. There will be FUD in the market. There will be people saying, the cycle will end early. I will sell everything at the end of 2024. I think the people that will sell by then get absolutely wrecked. And that's for another video, but I will make a video about, is it possible that this cycle will be completely different and end early? Because people say like, yeah, it started early, so it can end early. I have a opinion about that. So let's take a look at that in the next video. For now, thanks for watching. Like the video, Oh yeah, and I wanted to ask you a question, of course. Let me think. Yeah, what's the altcoin that will give the best returns in an altcoin season? And also something that doesn't include too much risk. So you can go to CoinMarketCap, go to page 1000 or somewhere like that and pick like, oh, that's low cap. So, but you know, give me a good one with a good reasoning behind it. If you can give me that answer, let me know in the comments. Best answer wins $100. And you know what? I'm gonna pick two winners this time. Two winners. We need two altcoins. All right. Thanks for watching. Take care.